Peterson climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness!
Welcome one, welcome all. I am very, very happy to have another few days of Summer League ahead of us and very happy to have a special guest with us too. It's a great time here, not only at Run Pure Sports, but DK DFS does his own stuff here at Summer League. We'll go ahead and kick it right to him. DK, thank you so much for joining us, man. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Still, I was talking about this pre-show with you guys, but still a little bit tilted from last night. Hit both the injuries in Kada and Wendell Moore. So we're coming from that, hoping to avoid those today and hoping to avoid any late scratches, which I think will be more prevalent as we go on in the Summer League.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that Wendell Moore news, I think, was a little bit of a bone crusher for some of us. And Kurt said he has a story about the Wendell Moore news, and I'm very interested to hear it because he refused to tell either one of us, I imagine, before the live show because he wanted our live reaction. So, Kurt, how are you doing today? And what was the Wendell Moore story that I'm waiting for right now?
All right. So as we know, we had it's old clock guy who's not running clock anymore. He's a different job, but he's still getting the stat sheets. But his first day was yesterday. First game's Timberwolves, right? So we're getting stars and everything. And I'm like, okay, we should be good because look, we're giving him something for helping us out. And so I was like, we probably don't need the starters. Like we're good. And he's like, texted me at 9:51, like, hey, I'm about to get it. Do you need it? I mean, I was like, no, we're actually on time. We're good. We won't need it. Okay, so it's on me. But I texted him. I was like, bro, I can't believe that happened. Just to make sure, though, like, did you all get the sheet at like 5 minutes before a lot? Or like, what did you get? He's like, actually, we got it at 10:01. They were late getting it out. So, boom, I got that confirmation like 5 minutes ago. It made me feel a lot better. But I thought I was the one who was to blame for all the Wendell Moore stuff. But I'm not, because it was the Timberwolves' fault for getting the starter sheet out. I did get the official picture, though. And I saw, so he's ready to go. Our boy is ready to go for Summer League. He'll be on one game tonight, and then he'll be on the very important OKC game tomorrow. We'll definitely need his stuff for that. But yeah, clock guy / whatever his new role is this year is back. Can't wait to get his information and kind of give it out to us who have truly grinded and deserve that information.
100%, Kurt. Okay, you save face there with the 10:01 being sent over. So not the 9:51. You had me scared there. We had 9 minutes to react.
He asked him. He was like, "Are you going to need it?" I'm like, "No, we're good." But then, just thank God.
100%, man. Now we have a great slate tonight, a fun one, really. It's 6 games, 20K up top again. Yesterday's prize pool filled with 5 hours to spare, and then all these secondary contests filled up as well. And tonight, another 20K to first. We got fun 6 games. We'll go ahead and get going. So we'll do a game-by-game breakdown, just like we do Up the Lock. But we're not doing an Up the Lock show that we are. But I think, DK, you do an Up the Lock show, right?
Yeah, I do one over on my Patreon.
Yeah, perfect. So he's got one on Patreon right there. So if you guys ever want to check that out, we also have this live free show for y'all too. And don't forget, if you want to access into our Discord, code Summer33. And it also gets you access to every sport on the site as well. So Summer 33, 33% off your first payment. And DK, I'll kick it over to you for the first game here with Brooklyn and Milwaukee. So we got news last night that Lindell Wigginton and AJ Green are going to enter the rotation after missing the first 2 games of the Vegas Summer League for the Bucks. And as far as the Brooklyn Nets go, we can kind of expect a similar rotation to previous games. So how are you viewing this first game, and who are you liking, whether it's props or even DFS perspective?
Yeah, so I'll start with the props, I guess, for Milwaukee. I got them a little bit earlier today because they posted Nico Mannion points prop. Took that over. I don't even think it's on the board anymore. I'd have to double check, but that was when I took the under on because we got the news that Wigginton and Green are expected to play. Yeah, I don't see it on the board anymore. But as far as DFS goes, Milwaukee side, I mean, I do have a little bit of interest in Wigginton. I don't think anyone's going to play him. Again, he's put up some big numbers, especially in the G League, but also, one given run from Milwaukee kind of at the end of the season. I'm probably not going to get to Beauchamp or Mannion. And then I do have some interest in AJ Green, sub 5K. I think it's pretty cheap. The only downside is he's pretty score independent. And then for Brooklyn, I don't think there's anyone that stands out for me. All the starters got that bump, but I think guys like Chandler and Wilson are fine.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you brought up Green. He's been a guy I projected highly of, expecting him to start, right? And then he finally is back tonight. But the problem is when I looked at last year's Summer League, it was AJ Green and Lindell Wigginton off the bench. And Kurt, you told me about this in the Discord. Do you expect the same thing this year, that Wigginton and Green come off the bench?
I mean, DK, this last year, Wigginton would come off the bench and he would run the entire, the rest of the game. And run the rest of the game, and he'd have 80% usage. No one else would touch the ball. So, it doesn't even matter with him coming off the bench. He fucks up everything with these Bucks tonight. And AJ Green will probably do a little something. I think it's the guy from, the small school. I don't know. But he's a stat sheet in college. But, those two guys coming back are going to take up a lot of usage. It's basically a wash for me. I still like the under on Underdog finally put their stuff out. Buchan's PRA is 29.5. I'm going to take the under. I just think that those guys are going to mess up everything.
Yeah, 100%. And Northern Iowa was the school that you're thinking of, I believe, right?
Yeah. That's
Northern Iowa. Perfect. Yeah. So, there you go, guys. Yeah, Buchamp under 29.5 PRA. So last night, I know Colby Jones soared over, and the Xavier Moon made me really sweat with 12 points in the fourth quarter to get to 18. So he stayed under. So
he's just a fourth quarter guy, man. I don't know. You saw that 2 games ago. I think he put up 20 fantasy points in the last 2 minutes.
Yes. There was 13.5 fantasy points in under a 24-second spell. It was or a 26-second spell. It was one of the most unreal fantasy performances I've ever seen in the fourth quarter.
That cost me a lot of money, too, because I didn't have him in the main, and that bumped me down 5 spots.
Yeah. See, that was the worst. I know the person who ended up shipping had Keontae George and Xavier Moon with those nuclear fourth quarters there. I don't think we have to worry about, like you guys were saying, the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a little bit gross with those guys back. And then Brooklyn kind of ran a semi-gross rotation last time as well. There was guys like Jalen Wilson, Kennedy Chandler, and then you have David Duke Jr. And there's okay plays. Maybe you can make the case that these guys might get 2 to 3 extra minutes after they was it a blowout last game, right? But still kind of the gross game to lead things off. I might be fine playing 1 or 2 guys from this game, but I'm not going to get too carried away. So we'll go ahead and move on to the second game. And the second game is probably the best one on the slate when I'm looking at it from the outside. And we have a lot of Houston Rockets value. So if you don't know, Tari Eason and Jabari Smith Jr. are both going to be shut down. It looks like they're saying they're very likely to be shut down. And then you also have Amen Thompson, who got hurt in the first game. So you have a bunch of cheap Rockets here who really Cam Whitmore is the most expensive at 8.5K. But then you have a bunch of starters with Trevor Hudgens, Jermaine Samuels, or Darius Days. One of those two might start. Nate Hinton, DK. What are you doing with these Rockets? And feel free to touch on the OKC Thunder afterwards.
Yeah, so I think the Rockets probably my favorite team to target right now. Just with Smith and Easton off the court, they've also been running really tight rotations. So I think you're probably going to get 8 to 9 guys playing today. Also, obviously, Amen Thompson out. Whitmore, I think he's probably one of the better spend ups. Should get 20 plus shots up. The only downside is relatively scoring dependent, but I think the starters, my guess for the starters at least, are going to be Hudgens, Whitmore, Days, Huff, and probably Samuels. I don't know. You guys, is that your guys' guess for the starters too?
Yeah. Because I don't know who else the fuck they would start.
I was trying to figure that out. Maybe Hinton. I don't know. Because they've only been playing 8 guys, so that's I'm pretty sure Days and Huff start in the front court, and then I'm positive that Whitmore and Hudgens will start. But that 5th starter, I think, could be a couple different guys.
Yeah, Darius Days is an NBA player. He's played in the NBA a couple games before, and he has a lot of talent. He was very productive in the G League, and a guy who was also productive in the G League is Jermaine Samuels. So Kurt already got on me. He said, you got to bump Darius Days up. He thinks he starts. Kurt, what are you doing with Darius Days and the Rockets? I think it's our all of our favorite games, I should say.
It's really, really hard not to jam all 3. I want one of the guards. I'm pretty sure it'll be Hudgens, but just in case to get different, you can do Hinton. And I want Samuels and Darius Days. Darius Days is my favorite of them all. So if you have to play just one, I love Darius Days the most. But I think you have to have one of those guards too. This team is going to still have that run and gun style. They're just going to be less efficient at it without the 2 studs. I'm jamming 3. I'm definitely jamming 2. And if you don't have 1, then you just don't like money tonight. I guess another way to get different is play Jay Huff as one of the bigs instead of Samuels and Days, which, it's just hard to play that goofy looking fuck, dude. It was hard to play him at Virginia. I'm sorry, but he could get there. He could get like 25. Maybe the other guys just break their leg or something. Knock on wood. I hope that doesn't happen. But like that's the only way they Huff outscores. And I'm sorry, the guy's terrible. As far as OKC, I don't know about you, DK, but I don't see a reason why Holmgren comes out here or Jalen Williams. Both of them played in the Utah Salt Lake series. Played 30 minutes in both the games there. Played 30 minutes in Summer League. I think that's what they wanted to see. 3 games, 30 minutes. Okay, you all are done. I'd be very shocked to see them. But so that's how I'm approaching it. And then I want the stars on that because there's some other guys we can. Dang gets a giant bump, and I think he becomes a lock too. So this is a great game to target for me.
Yeah, DK, what are you doing? What do you think OKC does with Chet Holmgren? And this is a game. I think we're lucky to have it as the first game because there's a lot of news that we kind of want to hear from both sides.
Right. Yeah. If I had to lean right now, I would say probably I lean towards Chet not playing. They said they haven't decided yet. But you've seen this with a lot of teams now. After 2 games, usually your second, third year guys start getting shut down around this time. So I'm right now thinking he doesn't play, but I would say it's probably like 60-40, maybe 70-30. And if he doesn't play, it was kind of disappointing they don't have the rookie in the player pool. Casey Edwards, right? Yeah,
Jason Wallace, bro.
Wallace, yeah.
He never shoots like that either. He was making everything.
Yeah, so I was a little bit disappointed to not see him in the player pool, but. As far as the other guys go, you mentioned Jang. I like him. The big Jalen Williams thing is solid. And then if Chet doesn't play, I think they probably start Keontae Johnson. I don't know. That's just a guess. But also Trey Mann is a guy that I think has a bounce back potential. And, the good thing about the Thunder is they've been running tight rotations, playing like 8 guys. So if Chet's out and they run another 8-man rotation, I think you're definitely going to need one of these main Thunder guys in your lineup.
If I can't wait, sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
I have a Jason Wallace not in the DK player pool. It kind of spoils it just a tad. But then again, you got Jared Butler could even step in. He's been a triple-double threat in the Summer League before. And Trey Mann, he's an NBA guy. He played in the NBA, played a lot of minutes. He's got great offensive potential. And yeah, I think Ousmane Dieng would be my favorite player to play on the slate in general if Chet is out. But there you go. Not only is it a tight rotation, but you're also getting some usage spread around a little bit too. So really, really happy with everything that we got in this game. Glad it's the first one on. And we'll go ahead and move on to the Phoenix.
Wait, I got one question, Rubes.
Yes.
Question for the panel. If I told you, okay, right now, I've seen the future, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams gets ruled out, what do you all think they do with Trey Mann?
Yeah, I think he's another guy that may or may not play too. Like if Chet sits, I think there's a chance Trey Mann doesn't play too.
Okay,
if that's the case, then I'm looking at Jared Butler for sure.
You do a full game stack at that point, right? We're going at least 4 or 5 from this game, and just
I think you can go ahead and full game stack it. Honestly, because here's the thing. All right, if you got guaranteed starters, which we probably will for this game. Mm-hmm. You don't have to deal with all the BS of Wendell Moore sitting or, someone else sitting or getting hurt like Keita or whatever. You can lock in minutes, lock in upside in a great game. I think I'm already tempted to game stack it, but that would just be different gravy. So Phoenix Suns and New Orleans Pelicans. This is going to be a fun one here. So the Phoenix Suns disappointed last game just a bit. And DK, you touched on this before the show. The rotation was maddening. Toumani Camara was absolutely horrendous from the free throw line. DK, are you going back to the Phoenix Suns? And Toumani Camara, is he fine? He's still under 7K.
Yeah, I still like Camara. I'm going to highly consider him. I don't think Jordan Goodwin's going to play. It's a back-to-back, so I'd be pretty surprised if he plays. So Camara should be the go-to guy offensively. He's the only guy that cracked 30 minutes. Still at a reasonable price point too. That MLS is a small forward, even though he's kind of playing, one position down. So I still like Camara. I think he's your safest plus best play overall. The rest of the Suns, the rotation is pretty gross, but there's still some guys I've interested in. Both Browns are fine. I like Sherfield at the point. I'm probably not going to get to Jemison just because he doesn't really have much of an offensive game. So it's mainly Camara and then a little bit of interest in the Browns and Sherfield. I'm probably not going to get to anyone off the bench. Suns, gross rotation. Camara definitely the guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And it was like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Trey Jemison, I wanted to point this out because I sent it in our Discord, but he hit 2 free throw line jumpers that were absolute stone cold banks, and he didn't mean to do it. I know this man has no offensive talent.
I think he's literally, I talked about this a bit earlier, but I think he's literally only scored over 10 points like once in college or something. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah, that's right. And Kurt, Phoenix Suns, are you going back to the well here?
I definitely, I think I do want to have one. It feels like one's gonna. I didn't get I was watching the other game. You watched the game, so I didn't really get a good feel for it. It has to be Kamara, obviously, but also I keep wanting to think that one of these guards can do something, but they won't give Marcus Carr a chance. It's pissing me off. They have no one to run this offense. It looks like shit. Marcus Carr can run this offense perfectly, and they're not letting him. Gavin and Steve, please come to my rescue and just tell them that all they need is let Marcus Carr have all the uses and play make, and they might not look like the worst team if Charlotte didn't exist. It's just like, just give the guy a chance, man. If you randomly see Marcus Carr starting, huge bump. It's not going to happen, but metaphorically, I would bump him up huge if he started. Yeah, Kamara, but hopefully we just get awesome OKC news and we don't have to worry about any of this Phoenix bullshit.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of news that we kind of have to watch, I mean, Dyson Daniels coming off a Summer League heroic game. You don't think he has really anything left to prove. I mean, he was in an NBA rotation last year, and there's two other guys, Jordan Hawkins and Sebron, that you think would be able to kind of step up, take on a little bit of a larger role, and let Dyson Daniels kind of sit out the rest of the Summer League. Kurt, are you thinking that Dyson Daniels sits tonight, or is that just news that you're really keeping tabs on?
I think I should do a list of guys who I think are most likely to get rolled out. Chet would be first, Jalen second, and then third would probably be Dyson. Because, like, I mean, you've seen a team who had a draft pick last year tear his ACL in a Summer League game. Then you have the one of the sharp players is injury prone as hell. The kid just went nuclear. Like, what do you really have to prove? I think he's done. Plus, they have a big enough roster to do other stuff. I think that they mentioned it earlier about how they want to give them all the run, but then like Dyson, he graded out, man, in my opinion. I think Paul Pierce talked about it on an interview yesterday. Like he came to Summer League and dropped 42, and then they're like, all right, go home. It's a similar situation. Like if you go and you see like what you want from a guy, it's enough. Pack it up, go home. We don't need anything else and risk injury.
100%. And DK, go ahead and plug in your own. Like, you got news that you kind of give out. Do you have a Discord or anything like that too? And like, what do you think about the Dyson situation?
Yeah. I do have a Discord. We're posting news. I'm on Twitter all day long. Just, that's been the Summer League schedule is, post the content and then just Twitter search all day for news.
Right.
But as far as Dyson Daniels goes, that I agree. I think if someone's going to sit here for New Orleans, it's going to be him. Especially after, what we've seen from the first couple games. I've seen some conflicting reports. I saw something like a while ago that said, oh, they're going to play these guys the entire Summer League, but also, something where they could get shut down. So he is the guy that I'm the most worried about. And this is a later game, so we may or may not get that news. So you mentioned it earlier with Thunder and the Rockets game, how, we should get the news before lock. And that's something you're going to have to think about a lot is when we do get starters before lock, like, do you just want to jam those guys in and not risk taking a DNP? Because in the Summer League, it's super important to just try to avoid taking a zero as much as possible. So sure, maybe you can play a slightly suboptimal play that is starting as opposed to a guy that maybe looks a little bit better but has a chance at DNP. And that's, the tough decisions you have to make. But outside of Daniels, you mentioned Sebron. I think he's going to be pretty popular after the big game last game. I like him at that price point. Not really worried about him sitting. Hawkins is fine. The front court guys, the minutes have just not been great. If you want to land on Makovich at 4-4, that's okay. I'll probably put around 20 minutes. But Daniels, assuming he plays like him, and then Sebron's probably my favorite overall play.
Yeah, 100%. Sebron looked really aggressive last game, and I was cheering for Mangone. I actually didn't play the Sunday Summer League slate. I was in the USA-Canada game, in Cincinnati. But when I was rooting for Mangone, he was cheering against Sebron, and I'll tell you what, I'm not playing Sebron here. The way he looked aggressive. He can shoot the ball, and he was hitting the glass. Kurt, you got anything to add on the Pelican side of things? On mute.
Appreciate it. The thing about Sebron is, like, if Daniels plays, he's still perfectly fine, and if Daniels misses, he's the lock of the slate. So, like, I really do like guys like that. You can kind of have a little double whammy there. And him and Turk Smith, pretty sure they had one overlap here together. So shout out NC State. Go Wolves.
Yeah, Turk Smith did really well yesterday. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next game here. This has my favorite stud on the slate. I actually rate Shaedon Sharpe just slightly ahead of Dyson Daniels if they were both to play. So Shaedon Sharpe ended up grinding, almost 30 last game, despite shooting 4 for 18 from the field. He's got a complete green light. I think, especially with, Thompson or Scoot Henderson, who got hurt, it's Shaedon Sharp's backcourt completely. He can do whatever he wants. He played, over 32 minutes the past 2 games as well. There's a lot to like when it comes to Shaedon Sharp. And they also have Jabari Walker, who's been absolutely crushing the first 2 games too. And then I look over on the other side of the ball with the Charlotte Hornets, and I just see an absolute gross array of players. Like, I see a lot of split minutes. I see Brandon Miller with potential, but then I see 4 guards who can each go off individually. But what is going off of them? James Bouknight, Bryce McGowan, those guys are just pure scorers. Do they have the upside to kill you? DK, what's your read on this game?
Yeah, so I agree with you on Shaedon Sharp. I think right now he's my favorite spend up as well. I would say, slight DNP risk though too, right? Second-year guy playing. Is Scoot for sure out in this game? Like, did he get ruled out for the summer league?
I believe so. Let me double check that for you while you speak, though.
Okay, yeah.
He's sprained his ankle though, right? It was pretty. I think it's pretty bad.
Okay, yeah. Because I thought there's still a chance he could play, I guess, down the stretch, but
yeah,
right now I don't think he plays unless we hear otherwise. But yeah, Sharp, I agree. Like, I got lucky with the fade the other day. I played Dyson Tahinos over him, and Sharp shot 4 of 18. The thing is the minutes, right? 35 minutes last game is absolutely insane for the summer league. So if he plays, I think he is my favorite spend up overall. I don't think you're going to get. I mean, he has not shot well the first 2 games at all. 7 of 21, 4 of 18. Imagine what happens when he has a decent shooting game. He's rebounding the ball well, and he's kind of playing the point guard position too without Scoot. So he looks phenomenal. You mentioned Jabari Walker. I think he's good as well. The minutes did tick up for him. The first game, it was really just Sharp, and then everyone else, the minutes were spread out. Last game, Walker was the guy that got the bump, 29 minutes. He's over a fantasy point per minute guy, and he has nice eligibility, power forward center. So I like him. I don't know if I get to anyone else, though. I know Devour, if you pronounce his name, had a really good game. I think that was a bit of an outlier. I don't love the price point. I looked up his G League stats. It was nothing crazy. So outside of Sharp and Walker, there's probably not much. And then the Hornet side, you mentioned it, right? I think Miller's a good contrarian play. The thing I like to see here is the shots went up. In one of those pre-summer league games, I think he only shot like 4 or 5 times, but 15, 18 shots the previous 2 games for him. So if he can knock down a few more, he does have a ceiling. So he's giving you that floor at the rebounds. And the guards, I mean, I have a little bit interested for tournaments just because they've been so bad. McGowan's, Bouknight, Smith. I think my favorite of the bunch would be Bouknight. He's gotten 18, 14 shots up the last 2 games.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point. Thank you for clearing it up on Scoot. So there's a chance he does return in this summer league. It'll probably be at the tail end. It was a shoulder injury. He is ruled out for this game individually, though. But yeah, you're right. It's a shoulder injury. I got him and Amen Thompson, I think, confused a little bit because Thompson's the one who sprained his ankle.
Right.
So I don't know who has the finger injury. I know it's Keon, but all these injuries, they're all like combobbled in my head. But yeah, Keon's the one with the finger, and now we know Scoot's the shoulder, Amen's the ankle, Wendell Moore's the pussy, stuff like that.
Well, Kurt, what are you doing with this game here, the Charlotte Hornets and Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah, so I think Sharp is the thing is, what's funny is if Sharp had a Dyson Daniels type game, I also think Trailblazers would be like, okay, get on the plane, get back to Portland. You're going to probably be on a starting rotation because we're trading like Damian Lillard. So, but he didn't. He shot terribly. And a lot of these guys do not want to leave Vegas shooting 20% from the field. It's just, you don't want to leave it like that. And the front office probably feels the same way too, unless you're like Wemby or some shit like that, which even he didn't leave on a bad note. I think if he had a good first game, he would have been shut down too, which even though it was play 2, but But Shaedon Sharp is just stone cold lock for me. If Dyson Daniels is rolled in, I would rather just take. Okay, look, I don't know if for sure Sharp's going to play. I have 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and play Daniels since I know he's starting. So kind of have a slot for both of them right there. Maybe the forward position down below. As far as anyone else, DeVoe getting priced. I mean, they're just one guy's one good game. They're pricing up to $8K. We're usually it's a gradual thing for summer league, which is nice. But no, we're not. We don't have that anymore. So no for DeVoe. Curious to see what Walker's minutes are. Now that he's priced up, if we get that 22 minutes again, I'm a little concerned. So I just hopefully we don't. I'm just going to assume we see like 25 to 28, and then he's still a perfectly fine play there because the dude can smash. But he also, I think, is going to be a pretty important like piece on this team. He can play a small ball 5 and play a really strong 4. So curious to see what Portland does as a whole. You can backload a little bit, but I don't know. I'm just not in love with Walker today. I will say that. I'm very, very low on Walker, and I don't know. I just have a bad feeling. That's all.
Yeah, 100%. And don't forget to like this video, guys. If you are enjoying it, go ahead and hit the like button for us right now, too. We also have a code, SUMMER33, 33% off your first payment, whether it's a weekly or monthly subscription here at Run For Your Sports. We have 2 games left, and the next one here is featuring the Sacramento Kings, who Neemias Queta is probably, presumably out. So we have a center situation that will be a little bit intriguing tonight. And then we have a bunch of guards with Keon Ellis, Jordan Ford, Colby Jones. The Colby Jones is an absolute hero last night, Kurt. Very nice call there. And then you also have Chicago with a couple guys who have seen a price up with Freeman Liberty, Nate Darling, and Justin Lewis getting hurt might open the door for a guy like Julian Phillips or Dallin Terry getting more minutes. I don't know if he can potentially get more minutes, but yeah, DK, this is an intriguing game, a game that's kind of gross, but at the same time, you might want one or two pieces from it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any standouts here, but there's definitely some guys I have interest in. I would be shocked if Queta plays. I would assume it's this Chance Comanche, or however you pronounce his name, picks up the start. If he does, I think he would be a pretty solid value, 4.2. The guards, I think, are pretty good plays here. Ellis, Ford, and Jones. So basically my take is they all look pretty similar. Like my take last slate was, all right, I think Colby Jones can be the lowest owned. So he'd be my preferred option of that group. And he had the best game. And I think for tonight, my favorite player would be Ford, just because he really struggled last game, but the minutes are still there. So with those guys, I think I would just want to play the lowest owned option. And for me, it's going to be Ford of that group since he really struggled. Chicago, Dallin Terry, I like for tournaments. Usage is there, minutes are there, 4 of 14, 5 of 21, similar to Shaden Sharp, kind of running the show offensively, but has not been hitting a shot. So don't think a lot of people will play him. I'm definitely staying away from the front court, Sanogo, Atur. Like the minutes are just too spread out there. I don't know if we get to anyone else. I think Freeman Liberty's fine, Darling's fine. And then I'm not sure who would start for Lewis. Whoever does start, though, I think would be a viable value. I'm just not 100% sure who that would be.
Yeah, my guess would be Julian Phillips, just because he did get a bunch of minutes off the bench last game, and he kind of more of that, small forward role. Kurt, are you seeing the same thing? And tell me more about Chance Comanche. You seem to like the starting center for the Kings, is what you were telling me pre-show.
So I differ. I am different on both of you guys in this Kings situation. I'm different on Rubio because I think you have to lock in the Kings starting center, no matter who it is. I think they are going to kind of split time, but I think the starting center is going to crush. And I know for a fact he's going to play. So I think he's a lock in all my lineups. I want the King starting center. I think it'll be Chance. If it's Mike Dom, even better. I'll just save the $200 and play Mike Dom. And then as far as the kid, so I'm disagreeing with Ruby on that. And as far as DK goes, I love the whole play low on guy thing. It literally gets me off just thinking about it. That's how I play too. But having watched these guys, like Colby Jones is just a bucket, dude. And he's still too cheap. And he stuffs the stat sheet too. So yes, he's going to be 80% owned. Does that feel gross? But he's just better. But I do think Ford's shots fall tonight. So understand it. But I'm just locking in Jones as a free square. He didn't even shoot that. Like he didn't have a crazy shooting night. He just stuffed the stat sheet and got the usage that I figured he would get the first game Keegan didn't play. But it's here now. He's still too cheap. Going right back there. Ford would be my second. And then obviously Ellis just because it's the pricing thing there. And then, so probably 2 Kings for me in every lineup.
I like it. I will make the point here that Chance Comanche and Mike Down both had good PPM stats, so point per minute stats in their respective leagues. I know Down kind of bounced around a little bit, but G League wise, you guys were both very effective. And DK, you were trying to say something?
Oh, no.
I don't like Phillips did not look good at Tennessee, man. I played him so much, and the dude he has no bag, at all, I don't think. He's athletic, but no bag.
For sure. And I want to mention real quick, because I know Kurt said I disagree. I am scared of this center situation just a tad, because I think it has potential to be split in 3 ways. Queta got 10 minutes, but both Mike Daum and Chance Comanche both got 13 minutes. That means there was 4 minutes without one of those guys on the floor. And I'm worried that the coaching staff might go back to that. I know 4 is not a huge number. You spread that over an entire game. What if each of these guys only got 16, 15 minutes or whatever? Maybe they share the floor a little bit, because they might go small like Slauson or even Kessler Edwards or whatever if they really want. It can be a gross rotation. The summer league's for experimenting. You might not agree, Kurt, but look at it. Nogo didn't even play half the game. You look at the Bulls side of things.
Look, fade the King center at your own risk. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
All right, fair enough.
If he doesn't get hurt. If he doesn't get hurt, I got to use the Queta thing.
We think there's no chance Queta plays, right?
I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
That would ruin me, bro.
Because that could be a thing where we don't get the starting lineup and after lock, then Queta ends up playing.
God, oh no, that could happen.
Oh,
I mean, it's right foot soreness, so like that doesn't sound too bad. I don't know.
This same situation happened last year. Did he get sick and then did he try to play? It was a championship game maybe last year, 2 years ago. Where like
didn't he get injured and he came back the next game?
Yeah, like oh my. And then I remember. Okay, so he got hurt one game. Everyone was pissed. Like, oh, he was like 80% owned. He came back, finished the game, salvaged, and then missed the next game for that injury. We're like, what the fuck?
Wild, yeah.
So I do want to go ahead and get into this final game, but first I want to mention the free projections on site. So if you guys ever need anything or anything with Run Pure Sports, just go on to Run Pure Sports, go hover over NBA and just type in, or just find NBA and then click on our Summer League projections and notes. It is just Summer League projections. We have a bunch of guys here, and we actually have the highest point per dollar player in this last game here with Ryan Rollins. I don't know if I really love that, but he did absolutely go nuclear last game. The minutes seem safe. DK, what are you doing with Ryan Rollins, and what's your interest in the Spurs side of things with Wemby presumably with Wemby shut down?
Yeah, so Rollins is one I'm a little bit torn on. Obviously had a huge game last game, 9 assists though and 5 steals. It's like, all right, that's definitely not going to happen again. I checked out his G League stats. It's nothing crazy, usually relatively score independent, kind of like we saw in game 1. So the price is cheap though. I'm interested to see what the ownership difference is with him versus AJ Green. I feel like he's going to be a lot more popular than Green because of the most recent game. And I think they're the same price. So for me, I actually think I'm going to prefer AJ Green to him just because I think he'll be a lot more owned. But I don't mind Rollins. Again, the minutes were solid last game. I think actually my favorite play, though, in Washington would be Patrick Baldwin Jr. Back-to-back on a subpar games. He played 28 minutes last game, but he's a guy that can do a little bit more of the peripheral stats, even though we haven't seen it yet from him. So I actually think he's my favorite Wizard. I don't think I'm going to get to the front court with Vukcevic or Coulibaly. And then Johnny Davis, I'm kind of just fine with. If you land him last piece in, sure. I think there's other guys that prefer, but he'll be low owned. And for the Spurs, so what I will say for San Antonio is they've been running a really tight rotation. And obviously with Victor Wembanyama out, that's a lot more usage to go around for the other guys. So the Spurs definitely one of my favorite teams to target. I think it's probably Sissoko that starts. I was looking at those pre-summer league games. He started when Wembanyama was not playing. But yeah, Champagny, Barlow, Branham, Wesley, I like them all quite a bit. I think they all play around 30 minutes. I think probably Champagny would be the most popular, but Branham shot 1 of 17 last game. He's another guy I think could bounce back here. And obviously him, Wesley, were on the actual roster for San Antonio last year.
Did I hear that right? He shot 1 of 17.
I was looking at that last night. I just couldn't believe my eyes.
Oh my God. I did not know that. I didn't play the Sunday slate. I did not know that Branham shot 1 for 17. Kurt, what are you doing with Mr. 1 for 17 tonight?
It's funny. It's surprising that was Branham because we like to call that the Champagne special. That's what Justin and Julian love to do in college. Shoot 1 for 17 and no one even says anything to him. Like, just keep shooting. That's what we have with Branham the other day. Yeah, I think we go to the old rule of you want to be over on Branham or Wesley for sure. I think Branham shooting 1 of 17. That just gets my rocks off, as you all know. Speaking of, I hate to go back, but if I told you all Dallin Terry or Brandon Miller make their shots tonight, are they probably breaking the slate? I mean, they both shot terribly.
They're going to be good plays, yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be low owned too. So
I'm not even sure if they'll make those shots though. Still, I think they could live to the entire summer league without making any shots. Especially Dallin. Dallin sucks, bad. But yeah, Branham, Wesley for me here. Barlow's kind of interesting. The thing about him is okay, Wembanyama's out. Barlow's going to see 30 minutes. No, he didn't. He actually played 22 in the game that Wemby didn't play in Salt Lake or in Cali. So before you just assume Barlow's going to step in and play 30 minutes, he's not. He's probably going to be in he played 31 last night. But when the game Wemby missed, he didn't get the auto 30 minutes. I think we see more 27, 28-ish. And I think his ceiling is it's just man to me. I kind of view him as the Brandon Williams play from last night. Brandon Williams at 34, not bad, but I'm just an idiot, and I won all 40-point games, which is not realistic. But Barlow's just a man play. I do think his floor is awesome if you want to play him in single entry stuff. But I'd rather play Branham and just hope he doesn't shoot 1 of 17 again.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, Branham definitely showcased he has a ton more upside to display. I like Blake Wesley. I like Branham. I like Champagne. You got a lot of guys here who are just fine. And one guy I wanted to bring up too, because I didn't hear too much mention of him, is Johnny Davis. I got a high projection on him. He hasn't really been hitting his shots to start out, but but he did get 30 minutes last game. And I feel like he might be going under the radar because it's the last game. And like there's a bunch of studs, before these, and even like Champagne at 8,700 is arguably a little bit better than Johnny Davis too, with all this stuff around. I think Johnny Davis might be going overlooked. Is he a good play? DK, do you have much interest in Johnny Davis?
Yeah, no, I like him. I think he'll be low owned. And one other thing to mention is I'm not really worried about anyone getting shut down here for Washington. I'm pretty sure all these guys play. And for San Antonio, I'm not really worried about it either. So there's other games where, some guys that we're a bit worried about, Sharp, Daniels. But even though these games are late, this game's a late game, I'm really not concerned about anyone in Washington sitting or anyone in the Spurs outside of Victor, which we already know. So that's something I feel relatively good about, even though it is a late game. But yeah, I think Davis will be low owned. Just looking at the other stars, he's not going to get a ton of ownership. So I don't mind going to him in tournaments.
Yeah, 100%. And Kurt, is this a game that maybe you backload a little bit if you want to get a little bit different?
Yeah, so I want to kind of shout out DK's call on Patrick Baldwin over Rollins. I think that's an elite pivot. Not even mention the AJ Green one. That's even more of an elite pivot. I would love it. If AJ Green starts, that would be kind of nice. I could think he could go for 30. But specifically the Washington situation, everyone's going to see, Rollins has done better. Rollins is cheaper. Let me just plug in Rollins, the lazy take. And look, I'm warranted that. If I had that 4,900 left and I can't get to Baldwin, that's what I'll do. To Rollins. But Baldwin, man, no one's going to play him. And I think Rollins, he's going to be 3 or 4 times less owned than Rollins. And that would be a pretty elite pivot because I think that he could have his kind of nuke game too. Whereas Rollins kind of had his last night. We went for 40 or last game. He went for 40, didn't he?
Yeah. He had 9 assists, 5 steals.
5 steals, yes. I mean, that's very sustainable, obviously. So I'm I think I'm changing my position on, now that we know we have so much salary with everything. I don't really love jamming in the studs today, like Ched and all that. So I'm going to go Baldwin over Rollins now as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually did not notice that Baldwin moved into the starting lineup last game. So that's actually a really nice.
We need to monitor Xavier Cooks too. So if Xavier Cooks is back, it kind of limits their ceiling a little bit and kind of murks up the entire Washington situation. So I don't know if he's been rolled out for the rest of Summer League, but if Xavier Cooks is back, kind of puts a hamper on those guys.
Was that an injury, the reason why he didn't play last game?
All the injuries are so confusing to me. I want to say yes.
All right, let me Twitter search, see if I can find anything. Because I noticed he didn't play. He played the first game, he didn't play the second game, so I was a little bit confused.
I know we got the early.
The biggest thing with this, obviously the projections will be updated and stuff. I might tone them a little bit. If you guys see a pink piece under their fantasy points projection, that means that projection has changed from the original. So you see a guy like Patrick Baldwin, Ryan Rollins could be a guy who sees a tick down. I'm just looking at that first game where it's a red flag where he only played.
Keep him up. Keep him up so his ownership stays up. I'm on DK's pivot now. Bump up Rollins, baby. Bump him up.
Oh, no bump him up. But I do like him as a value piece either way. But I do have to be careful with those minutes a little bit. But yeah, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is very good potential. Only 6 shots last game, but then when he came off the bench in the first one, he had 11 shots. So there's definitely some upside. He seems to be the type of guy who can get some stocks as well. So I really like the way that this game sets up. I'm going to have a little bit of Champagne, who I think could also go over the radar, and Davis. So it'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of my builds are kind of frequently landing on the mid-tier build yet again, even though I'm very high on Shaden Sharp. So we'll go ahead and move on. Actually, DK, did you find out about Xavier Cooks yet?
Yeah, so what I saw is I think he'll probably not play the rest of the Summer League. I don't know if it's an injury, but the beat writer said the previous game, Xavier Cooks will not play. He's in street clothes. Given the depth of his professional experience, it probably wouldn't make sense to play him when younger players would benefit. So it sounds like he's probably done for the Summer League based on that quote.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And so I won't let either of you get away from here without giving me your banana boat play of the day. DK, I see you're on the middle of the banana boat behind Wemby and Peyton Watson. Is that Champagne behind them?
I want to know who made this graphic too. Is that you, Kurt?
I wish. I would I don't know how to do that shit.
I'm pretty sure it had to be Helmet. Helmet does a lot of our website design.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
The first 3 players that we had on the graphics were Peyton Watson, Wemby, and then Champagne.
I wish we had Window Moore
falling off. And then you got Kurt right in the middle falling off. Great play. DK, who is your banana boat play of the day?
So is this just like my favorite? Like, what do you mean? Like, what does it mean? Like, my favorite overall play, or?
Yeah, just your favorite play on the slate.
That's a tough one. I will say, let's see. I'm going to say Trevor Hudgens for Houston. I don't know how popular he's going to be. Obviously, he hasn't done a ton the first 2 games, but I think he's going to have a lot more usage this time around with those 2 guys out. So I'm pretty high on him.
Yeah, 100%. Hudgens is a great pick. I know he's one of our favorite values here at RPS as well. Kurt, give me your banana boat play of the day.
This is tough because I'm following up Colby Jones, just like, so no pressure. I'm going to say I don't want to say a Rocket, but I do have the Hudgens play. Let me get. Oh, this is going to go terribly. Please, Kata, just don't play. I'm going to go the Kings starting center, whoever that may be. We'll go Chance for now. Going right back to the Kings will.
So Chance Comanche, your play of the day. I'll go ahead and finish this off here. My favorite play of the day is if Jordan Goodwin misses, Tumani Kamara. I am going to go right back to that well. Hope he doesn't give 6 turnovers and go 3 for 10 from the line. He is hopefully a little bit sneaky too. Hopefully people have a bad taste left in their mouth. And again, I thank you so much, DK. Make sure you guys check out his Patreon. He's got a live show leading up to lock. Kurt, thank you for joining me. We'll go ahead and get us out of here and have a great rest of y'all's day.